Ever get that like a chill, right? Like even on a warm night, you just feel like something's watching you,
Yeah.
like something unseen. You know, in Iran, some people believe that feeling might just come from the Morghe Show.
Oh, wow.
Welcome to Iranian Things, everyone. Episode 120. I'm Kia Mars.
And I'm Tamnaz.
And as always, we're diving deep into the stuff that most people don't know about Iranian folklore, mythology, cryptozoology,
Fun stuff.
the fun stuff. And tonight we are going deep into the Morghe Show, a creature straight out of the nightmares of southern Kerman.
Yes, a very, very scary creature indeed. The Morghe is said to haunt the region of southern Kerman, and it preys on the most vulnerable
Who would that be?
newborn babies.
Oh,
Yeah.
so this is like a horror movie.
Kind of a horror. It's a very dark legend.
So tell me a little bit about it.
So it is said to be a shape-shifting bird, and it has gleaming golden feathers.
Gleaming golden feathers,
Yes, but it is not a pretty bird.
but a baby snatcher
Yes, it snatches babies.
with gleaming golden feathers. So I'm picturing something kind of beautiful but evil.
It's beautiful and evil, yeah. It's most active under the cover of darkness.
So what do we know about southern Kerman and the people who live there?
Southern Kerman is a very harsh and beautiful landscape. The desert stretches as far as the eye can see.
A lot of open space.
Lots of open space, yeah. And the wind whispers tales of ancient times, so yeah.
So I'm picturing kind of like the American West, but Iran.
Kind of like the American West, but in Iran, yeah.
So lots of open space. And you said a lot of wind.
A lot of wind, and the people there are very much steeped in tradition and folklore, and so the line between the real and the supernatural is blurred.
I can see how a story like this could take hold in a place like that.
Yeah.
So how does this creature get its prey? It can't just like knock on the door and be like, can I have your baby?
Right. It's much more clever than that.
Okay.
The Morghe Sho is said to be incredibly cunning
Okay.
and magical, and it's said to carry 10 magical beads.
10.
10.
Like a rosary almost.
Kind of like a rosary, yeah. And it's said to use these beads to induce sleep in its victims,
Okay.
and so it can either place these beads in the qanat.
What the kanat?
So the qanat are these underground water channels
Okay.
that are essential to life in the desert.
Oh, so it's going right to the source of life
Right to the source of life.
and putting these beads in.
Yeah. It's pretty clever. But if it can't get to the qanat, it can even place them in the baby's cradle.
Right in the cradle.
Yeah.
So these beads, like, are they like a sleeping potion or?
Yeah, like a magical sleeping potion.
Okay.
So once the parents are in a deep slumber, the Morghe Sho is free to enter the house.
And do anything it wants, I guess, right?
Well, yeah. Supposedly snatch the baby. And it can enter the house because it's said to be able to squeeze through even the smallest openings.
There's really no keeping this thing out.
You can't keep it out.
And it must have been terrifying for parents.
It's terrifying.
So you have this thing that can come in any, like a hole in the wall, crack in the door,
Anywhere, yeah.
and steal your baby. What happens if you try to kill it?
Well, that's where the moral universe of the legend comes in.
Okay.
So it's seen as this threat, obviously. But killing it, not so good. Because it was believed to bring misfortune upon your family
Okay.
if you killed the Morghe Sho. So it's almost like the creature is intertwined with fate itself.
It's like a genie. Like
Yeah.
you don't want to mess with it.
Yeah.
Don't rub the lamp kind of thing.
Exactly.
So is there any way to protect yourself?
Yes, there is. There is a way to protect yourself. People would often turn to a higher power
Okay.
for protection, and they would attempt to bind the Morghe Sho through sacred oaths.
So kind of an agreement with the Morghe Show.
Yes. Like, we're not going to mess with you if you don't mess with us.
Okay.
But to solidify that agreement, you would make it swear on the Quran.
So the holy book would protect.
The Holy Book would
Yeah.
protect, yes.
Interesting. So was there any kind of warning system if you didn't know that the Morgans was already there?
Yes. Actually, there was another element to the story.
Okay.
The bow. It's referred to as the Muslim bird
The Muslim bird.
in local folklore. And this bird is believed to sense the presence of the Morghe Sho.
So it's like the Morghe Show's natural enemy?
Maybe. I don't know if it's an enemy. But it's almost like
Like a watchdog or something.
a watchdog, yeah. It lets you know that the Morghe Sho is around.
So like Lassie but a bird.
Yeah, like Lassie but a bird. And it would warn people with its call.
What would people do when they heard the call?
They would go into a frenzy.
So they'd know like, oh no, it's coming. We got to get ready.
Yeah.
So what would they do?
They would seal any holes in their homes.
Yeah.
They would make sure their cradles were secure.
Really lock things down.
Yeah.
Make sure there's no way in.
No way in. And, of course, they would offer prayers for protection.
Trying to call on a higher power to help them out. It's a pretty intense story, but I'm wondering, why would this myth exist in the first place? What do you think the reasons are behind this?
That's really the most interesting part to me. Because Southern Kerman, we have to think, it's a harsh environment. Healthcare may not have been so good back in the day.
And back in the day, meaning when would this have started?
I mean, we don't know exactly, but, hundreds of years ago, maybe?
Centuries.
And so, families were incredibly vulnerable to sudden illnesses, tragedies, and maybe the Morghe Sho arose as a way to explain those things.
To give a face to that fear.
To give a face to the fear.
Because if you don't know why your child is sick,
Yeah.
it's easier to say, oh, it's this creature.
It's the creature, yeah.
So it's a way to understand it.
Exactly.
And I find it interesting that you mentioned that the bow is called the Muslim bird. So there's definitely a religious element to this.
Yeah, for sure.
Like religion is offering some kind of protection.
Right. It reflects the deeper beliefs of a society. Folklore is very good at that.
And do we see anything like this in other cultures?
You do. Ancient Iran, India, Greece. You see all kinds of mythical birds that are often associated with, death, darkness, snatching souls.
So this idea of a bird stealing something precious.
It's a very common thing. It's fascinating, yeah.
I wonder if it's a universal fear.
It probably is.
Like losing a child, that's like the worst thing imaginable.
The worst, right.
And so it's interesting that there's this, mythical creature that embodies that fear.
Yeah. And what does that tell us about ourselves?
What do you guys think?
Yeah. Let us know in the comments.
Let us know. And if you're enjoying this deep dive into Iranian folklore, make sure to subscribe.
We have a whole playlist about mythical creatures.
Yeah, we've covered a bunch of them on the show.
Definitely worth checking out.
Until next time, sleep tight.
And watch out for those golden feathers
Exactly.
outside your window.
You never know.
You never know.
All right.
See you next time.